Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Alien Romulus. This movie is directed by Fede Alvarez, who previously directed Evil Dead Rise and Don't Breathe. This movie stars Kaylee Spawney, David Johnson, and Isabella Merced. Now, the plot of this movie is a group of youngsters that work for the company, Weyland-Yutani, have this dream to settle on this planet called Uvega 5. In order to get there, their ship requires some equipment and some stabilization and other things to get there, including some carbon freezing apparatuses and whatnot to make the journey. Well, they find this derelict ship above the colony of Jackson Star where they live. And when they get there, they find a lot more than they bargained for, like any Alien movie, right? So, going into this movie, I had friends that had not seen any posters, any trailers, no TV spots, nothing for this movie. Me, however, I saw the trailer for it when it first came out, and I got excited because it gave off vibes of the original movie. And I wanted this film to harken back to those original films, the ones that we really enjoy, not the ones that we didn't care so much for that came later. So, having seen this movie multiple times, I can honestly say that I really enjoyed it. I really did. Going into it, I didn't want it to be really gross, overly gross, because I know in Evil Dead Rise, Fede Alvarez decided to make that movie, really gory. And I wanted this movie to have a good story and not be so much about the violence and all the alien kills and whatnot. I didn't want it to be too gross, but I knew what I was going to get with an alien movie. So, I only have a few gripes with this movie. Overall, I really enjoyed this. From the storytelling, things that they used from other Alien films in the franchise, the homages, the throwbacks, all the things that you want from an Alien movie, especially the first film, is in this. Fede Alvarez was a huge fan of the original Alien movie, and you can tell that this was his love letter and his passion shows in this film. My only gripe with the movie is that the characters are a little too young for my taste. You have these characters that seem like teenagers, but they're talking about parts of a ship and how all this technology works and stuff, and it really doesn't work for me. It's a little off-putting. If they were older, more experienced, or had been with the company for a lot longer, then it might be more believable. Granted, there is one character that was in the military, but still, aside from his use of certain items in the film, I don't know, it's just kind of like these characters are a little too young for me. Also, there's an odd relationship amongst all of the characters. In one way or another, they're all related. Whether it's through familial ties or, dating relationships. 2 of them are cousins, 2 of them are brothers and sister, 2 of them are surrogate brother and sister, 2 of them dated. It's a little weird to try to follow who's related to who, and if they are all related, one of them is expecting mother, so that's kind of weird. Now, I'm going to start with the acting in this movie. I thought the acting from 2 of the characters was really good. The standout here is David Johnson as a character of Andy. He plays the surrogate brother of the main character, Rain, played by Kaylee Spawney, who was in Civil War earlier this year. She's okay. All this movie, does seemingly require a final girl, a female lead, if you will, and she plays that role, but I felt that her co-star, Isabella Merced, did a better job at emoting, and, she was more of a believable character, whereas Kaylee Spawney was kind of this timid, unsure character going into this mission, so to speak, but Isabella, I think, did a better job. She doesn't really show her acting chops until later in the movie, but I thought she was a better actress in the movie. David Johnson is great. I thought he was really good as this character that had to kind of play 2 roles, if you will, but I thought he was great because there's times where he's this really timid, shy, nervous character, and there's a time later in the movie where he has to kind of stand up, speak properly, be a hero in some aspects of the movie, and I really appreciated that. The other 3 characters in this group, They were okay. One was a pilot, one was, the jerk, and then one was a military guy. They were okay. Now, things I really liked about this movie. First was the atmosphere. This movie really took elements from all the Alien movies, even Alien Isolation, and made you feel the claustrophobia, made you feel, the tension, whether it was characters walking through a room trying to be dead quiet to avoid these creatures, or the action moments later in the film. I thought this was really good. The music was also pretty impressive. The music kind of blended in with the, sound effects in this environment, whether it was characters' heartbeats, or sirens going off, or steam shooting out through pipes and openings. It was really immersive. And this movie has a really, really, really nice, I guess you could call it a cameo, a nice throwback to the older Alien movies. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but I had a big smile on my face. Granted, they could have used a different actor for this scene or a couple scenes, but I'm okay with what they did. This is one of those instances where the practical effects were amazing in this film, but the CGI use with one of the cameos, as well as a couple scenes with, I'll just say, alien blood, were a little noticeable. But other than that, the practical effects were great. And I'm really glad they went back to practical, because you can't beat them. They look realistic and they're great. The look and feel of this movie was awesome. I also liked how one attribute of this movie is they introduced something really early into the plot regarding one of the characters. And I was like, oh, okay, in the other movies, this kind of thing was a surprise, but here they brought it on real early, and I was like, this is a welcome thing here. Also, they showed where characters lived, for a change. They showed us characters' environment and where their homeworld, what it looks like, and what they have to deal with when they're not in a ship in space. Granted, they did have some text at the bottom of the screen that kind of explained where they were, but it was only a one-time thing, so it was kind of questionable later in the movie. It's like, why did they even do that? But hey, director's choice, I guess. Also, I liked how this movie took from all of the other Alien movies. So it was the Rogue One, so to speak. This does tie into the older Alien films. So this was, in the Star Wars universe, the Rogue One. This was the one that blend the two franchises together. If your old movies are going to be, the OG Star Wars films, then I would say Prometheus and Covenant, that was, your prequels. The movies that not everyone was on board with, but here, Alien Romulus tied the two together. And I think it brought them together in a very nice way. So this movie has, everything you'd want from an original Alien movie. The older ones, the good ones, so to speak. The music, the tension, the action. You have some quotes and lines of dialogue from other Alien films. Everything was great in this movie except for maybe the third act. Or as some people are calling it, the second ending. Where the movie could have ended, but then they added on an extra 20 minutes of the movie, and it was a little much. Some parts had me rolling my eyes. It felt a little too much like Alien Resurrection, that's all I'm going to say. But hey, I'd rather have too much than not enough. So this movie is really good. Was it a greatest hits of a bunch of stuff we've seen before? Yes. I'd rather they do that than them try to explore new territories and explore this new philosophical grand idea that Prometheus and Covenant did. Because, hey, guess what? I would say when it comes to the list of Alien movies, I know which ones are at the top, and I know which ones are towards the bottom. So Alien Romulus, this is probably my third favorite movie in the franchise. Because of that, I'm going to give Alien Romulus an A-. This was really good. I highly recommend this for any Alien film, and I'm excited to see what Fede Alvarez and crew do next. Till next time, guys. See ya.